Aries, what's up? I'm Chris. Welcome to your reading for the Gemini full moon. Alright, so I'm just going to preface this by saying that I'm not feeling so hot, right? But I really wanted to make sure I got this reading done before just in case I start feeling worse. So if I have to duck off camera to blow my nose or sneeze or something, forgive me, Aries, okay? This is for you. Hey, we got the Chariot. Good. Because what are we talking about here? We have the Gemini full moon and we have Mercury Retrograde, right? So with the Gemini full moon, that's bringing energy of communication, of connections, right? We're paying attention to who's in our lives and what kind of effect they're having on us, right? And with Mercury Retrograde, the ruling planet of Gemini, things are also going a little backwards. So we're kind of reflecting, right? We're looking at the past, looking at this past year, maybe even longer, seeing what kind of lessons have come up for us, right? And with Aries, this is happening in your house of meaning, right? Of your path, right? So Aries, for this time period, from now to the end of the year, it's a big moment to reflect on where you've been and where you're going, right? Perfect that we have the Chariot as the first card out, right? Where you're going. This is you guys getting reflective, going within, getting centered and really taking the time out to figure out what you want, to figure out who you are, to figure out where you want to be in life, right? Sometimes I feel Aries, you guys can kind of vacillate between two extremes when it comes to your life goals, right? Sometimes I feel you're way up in fantasy land, or just way down with accepting things the way they are and pulling yourself up by the bootstraps and just kind of getting it done, right? But neither of those things feel like the kind of place you want to be in if you actually want to make real progress forward, right? And this doesn't have to be career. We have the King of Swords came out, right? And then we have the Nine of Cups, right? Aries, what are your dreams, right? The Nine of Cups is about wishes and dreams and the things that bring you emotional fulfillment. And last time we talked about Aries kind of not feeling so great, maybe you guys kind of needing to pay attention to your inner world, to pay attention to your emotions, to give that the energy it deserves right now, right? And with the King of Swords, with the Nine of Cups, clarifying the Chariot, this is you guys kind of really taking the time to think about where you want to be, right? So this kind of suggests to me, Aries, that you've been feeling maybe a little lost, right? With the King of Swords here, it's sort of somebody who is knows exactly what he wants and goes for it without even having to think twice, right? That's why this card can come up as a little ruthless sometimes, because he just goes for it, right? He takes that sword and just cuts through the shit and gets moving. What is the shit that's standing in the way of you going after this, of you getting this, of getting that? This is when you've done a really good job and you can rest and feel good about yourself and good about what you've accomplished. And don't get me wrong, Aries, I'm not suggesting you're not working hard or you're not trying or you're not but I think there's obstacles right now, right? I think that you guys are facing a lot of hurdles, and the hurdles on the outside, that's something that you're gonna have to deal with, right? What I'm saying that because I feel the hurdles are internal, right? With the Chariot, this guy is getting real zen and going within, getting to a calm center place, right? And again, with the King of Swords, we're talking about the shit that's going on in your head. So I feel maybe Aries is a little scattered, right? Your thoughts and your emotions and your feelings are not in line with each other for you to get this kind of forward motion, right? Okay. These came out reversed. Oh, this is one of those like tissue moments, so bear with me for a second. Perfect. All right, so we got the Princess of Pentacles reversed and the Nine of Swords reversed. So, two things here, right? Like, with the Princess of Pentacles reversed, this is kind of like what I was just saying, where Aries doesn't quite know where they're going. Where, like, the Princess of Pentacles is, you know, the court card that kind of is about somebody, like, having dreams and pursuing them. And, like, chasing after them with gusto, right? Like, here are these two cards coming out next to each other. This upright, this would be, like, somebody who's really going for it. Somebody who's, like, really making things happen, who's like, yeah, I'm gonna make that shit happen, like, that's my dream, that's my goal, I'm going for it, right? Like, look at the way she's going for it. She's like ready. Like, this is like an Aries feeling card of just like that, like ready to go energy, you know? But like reversed, it's sort of like telling me that there's a lack of direction, right? Like, she can't charge forward towards a dream because she might not even know what that is. Right? Or like maybe if she has an idea, like for some reason isn't able to pursue it, like isn't able to muster up like the energy and the drive to like really go for it. Right? And then here we have the Nine of Swords reversed. So this is good, right? Like, this to me is promising because this is showing Aries like getting out of this Nine of Swords space of like worry and anxiety and like super stress and like, you know, stuff like that. I'm just gonna block. I'm just gonna block my face so you can't see me like being disgusting over here. But you know, I love you guys. That's why I'm trying to get this done before like this shit really kicks in and like fucks up my life. Anyway, so this is kind of promising, right? Like all the stuff I've been talking about with Aries kind of like being stuck in their head, being stuck in their like worry and grief. This is sort of you coming out of it, right? So I'm feeling like a sense of determination coming from Aries, right? Like everyone in the new year has like these goals and these intentions, but I really feel Aries like mustering up like, you know, I'm kind of like sick of this. I'm kind of sick of like being lost and kind of sick of feeling like I'm just wandering. I want meaning. I want fulfillment. I want to like feel good about what I do when I wake up every day. Whether again that's career or whatever have you. Like, I feel like Aries could use like some other kind of outlet for their energy too, right? Some kind of like hobby or activity or something. Some group to be involved in, right? I don't know where it's coming from, just it's coming. So ultimately Aries good, like, right? Like, this is kind of where you need to be coming out of this like Nine of Swords crap to like get to here. To get to the Chariot where you have that forward motion. So Aries, I say expect in the next few months like a change of job, a change of home. Like, the Chariot sometimes means like literal movement. And I think with like this energy backing it up, like, oops. With this energy backing it up, behind it, like, something's happening. Something's happening for you guys. Things are like taking form. Yeah. Alright, so like this is good, guys, because like I think I mentioned in a previous video how sometimes Aries just kind of wants to go but doesn't have like an idea of where they're going. Right? And that's part of your fun. Like, you're fucking spontaneous and interesting and exciting and down for new adventures, and like that's why like you're one of my favorite signs. Like, Gemini and Aries vibe real well in that regard, right? Like, we like to explore and have adventure and like do cool new shit all the time. But like, I feel like this is a serious moment in your life, Aries. Like, Saturn's about to enter Capricorn, the sign of work, the sign of like status, the sign of like discipline and getting things done, right? And with Saturn in that sign, like, this lost shit, this like wandering around stuff is not going to work anymore. Saturn's going to make you like painfully aware of this if you don't come out of it. Like, it's going to start showing up in your lives in ways that might be like painful, right? Because Saturn is like the harsh teacher. So now, guys, is the time to get ready, to get clear right? And like figure out where we're going. We have two paths here. Interesting, right? Two of Wands and the Three of Cups reversed. So, I think last time, Aries, we talked about distractions, right? We talked about not just like, because this could be like partying and stuff and like literally drinking and like going out and socializing, having a good time, which I feel like Aries has kind of been like reversed. I want to say you've been like maybe stuck here a little bit, right? Like, but what I was gonna say is like it's not just like partying; it's also like vegging out, like zoning out to the TV for hours at a time, right? Like just kind of that escapism. And right now with the Three of Cups reversed, like upright, this could be like really promising, right? This could be like fun times. This could be invigorating experiences. But right here, it's almost like Aries is kind of potentially just going to be dwelling in these cheap thrills, right? And this like jumping back and forth between like one little exciting moment to another, but like with no direction, right? Or Aries, do you go the Two of Wands route, right? Look, we have Mars in Aries. Like this is such a like the cards are saying like fucking pay attention to me, bro. Like this is Aries moving, right? Mars goes. This is your ruling planet. And with this Aries energy, it's like charging forward, right? But with the Two of Wands, we're still in a place of decision making, of making choices, of like really getting still with yourself, like listening to your gut. Like this Mercury retrograde period for like all the signs is a really good time to like get quiet, get still, and like relax and go within, right? And I don't feel like this is like a super reflective going in. Like for a lot of the other signs, they have the High Priestess, which is like really like going deep and like into the subconscious. This is almost like someone making like a list, right? Of like the things that they're good at, the things that they're interested in, right? I like this like you guys have no idea what I'm doing when I'm like anyway. It's cuz I love you guys. But this is Aries like getting serious. This is Aries saying like taking stock of your life, seeing like where it's been unsatisfying and like making plans to fix it. Right? I kind of want to clarify these cards. I kind of want to clarify like what this choice is about and also like why you guys like have the potential to still be here. Like what's going on with Aries that this Three of Cups energy, like messy Three of Cups energy is like still a potential like outcome for you. Why is this still like what are you dealing with right now, Aries, that like this Three of Cups energy is just like so fucking messy. Oh shit. Want to talk about escapism? Want to talk about addiction? Want to talk about like distracting yourself? Right? With like this stuff, with the parties, with the good times, with the fun, with like Aries. The devil is exactly everything I've been saying right now, right? But this coming up as like a major arcana card, this is like what I'm going to say here is like this isn't a joke. Like this when I said like Aries getting serious, like this shit is destructive. Like how many times you have to like these two cards together, like look at it. The devil's all about overindulgences, addictions, drugs, alcohol, sex, food, TV, like whatever it is like that you're indulging in, Aries. Like we talked about distractions last time and it's not good. Like this devil to me right now is like the shadow self of Aries. When we talked about you guys not feeling good last time, right? Like this is like very sorry, like it feels very heavy, like almost like oof. I don't want to say it, but it feels like a little self-loathing. Like maybe with this retrograde we're thinking about the past a lot and like regretful choices and like things you wish you would have done differently or like wish you would be differently now, right? Because you guys like to be in control and be in charge, and like life doesn't always go that way, right? This is like those built up images of like what you're supposed to be and who you're supposed to be and what your life should be like now, like going really dark, like weighing on you emotionally, like spiritually weighing on you. And Aries, like, I don't want this for you. This is really scary, to be honest. These two cards together are just self destructive behavior that stems from like emotional wounds, I want to say. But I also feel like I want to say, like, you don't have to feel so wounded, Aries. You know, like we're coming out of it, right? I'm gonna clarify the two ones real quick. You know, I usually pull like outcome cards and stuff, but I want to see like what. Okay, I was gonna say I want to see more about this devil, right? I want to understand more about why Aries is stuck in this place of like I said self-loathing, right? But maybe just a sense of a sense of disappointment with yourself, right? And here we have the Ace of Pentacles. Remember what I just said about like Aries feeling like life is not what it's supposed to be? The Ace of Pentacles is about promises of material gain, right? Like the potential for like a fulfilling, like exciting, like this is the raw energy of Earth. Like, right? Like this primal force that like you can, what's the word I'm looking for? Like take hold of and like mold into something. Right? And I think Aries is maybe looking around at their lives and feeling a little dissatisfied, right? And that sense of dissatisfaction with like your job, with your home, with like all that kind of stuff is like making you not like yourself that much. I can relate to this. Like I know how that feels, Aries. But I think the challenge and what the tarot is asking you guys to do is like take the time right now to figure out like where those holes are in your like self-esteem and start patching them up, right? Like almost in a way sit with those like feelings, but like you know, I've been thinking recently about how about happiness, right? And whether happiness is really something to be pursued. Perfect, right? What happens when you chase happiness? Like the feeling. You get into cheap thrills. You get into like substances. You get into shit that makes you feel good. Because what you're doing, you're chasing the feeling, right? And then what happens at the end of a high? Like it doesn't feel good anymore, right? Like that greasy burger that you wanted to like stress eat like makes you feel like shit afterwards. The high has the low, right? So instead of thinking about how you feel, Aries, like I know we talked about that last time and I don't want to like take that back because I think that was important. But right now it's time to like get out of your feelings, get out of your head, and really like start manifesting, right? Like take a hold of this energy and like do something with it. Because like I was saying before, like instead of chasing happiness, if you work on things in your life that will ultimately bring you happiness, even if right now it kind of like doesn't feel good, like that's the real like fulfilling deep shit, right? Like what I said about moving forward with the Chariot, like it's time to just start moving, Aries. Stop thinking. right? Like this King of Swords energy, like kind of thinking too much. Like I said, he kind of acts, and that's true, without thinking. But like, this is a good energy for you actually to embody, of just like moving forward, right? Of like not dwelling on your heart as much, not dwelling on how it feels, and just like focus on your material choices, your mundane like direction, and fuck happiness right now, Aries. Like seriously, like sit with the dissatisfaction, sit with like all the things that drive you to act like this and act like this. Like sit with them, sit with those feelings. They're going to be uncomfortable, but you know what? When you come out of it, you have like real world gains. Then you can look back and say, oh shit, like maybe I wasn't partying as much. Maybe I didn't have as much fun in the past few months, but like I've been working out. I've been saving my money. I've made moves in my career. My house looks great. Like, I feel good. Now let's go fucking party. Right? Now let's go celebrate. Let's go have fun. Because, like, look around my life and I see everything is good. And that makes me feel good, and that makes me want to celebrate. You know, like, there's that Drake song where he says, drinking every day because we drink to our accomplishments. That's the headspace you want to be in, Aries. Like, where, like, this is not escapism. Where we, like, flip this card upside down. Like, tell the devil to go fuck himself. Which is really, like, telling yourself to go fuck yourself. But, like, tell that voice in your head to, like, shut the fuck up. I'm tired of you. You're annoying. Can you leave? Bye. Over it. Like, I'm feeling right now, like, over it for you guys. Because it's, like, I don't want to say meaningless. Like, it's how you feel, right? Like, it's important. But at the end of the day, like, feelings change, right? Like, they maybe, like, as a water rising sign, the Cancer rising, like, I understand how, like, and a Gemini, like, that shit just, like, does not stay still. So for outcome cards, the Hierophant, love it. Temperance, love it even more. Three of Pentacles reversed, right? So what I'm going to say here is sort of like on bottom of the deck. Oh, I swear when I was thinking about this reading, I saw this card in my head for you guys. Because it was like kind of what I was hoping was going to come up. Here's Aries being a fucking visionary. Here's Aries looking to the future with like optimism and hope and like really taking hold of your dreams. Like there's you guys showing up again. This is the Sun in Aries. The Three of Wands, right? Like looking to the future. I'm so happy that came up. With the Hierophant, right? Like we see real life progress. We see Aries getting serious. Aries like being ready to move forward in a real way, right? To like climb the social ladder. All those like material things I was just talking about, like the home and all that stuff, like that's Aries taking this shit seriously. You know, but like slow and steady Aries, right? Like we have Taurus here and then we have this elephant. Like those are large majestic beasts that like move slowly and live a long time, right? So the Hierophant is kind of saying like feel yourself. The Hierophant is also the manifestation of God's will, whatever you call God. Like that's what the Hierophant is, like the will of God manifest on earth. So like tap into your spirituality, right, Aries? I want to say, like, even if it's just like meditation or like crystals or something, tap into that. But also, like, this is just almost like a sign of divine, oh, it sounds weird to say, but like of divine like timing in a way, right? Like these dreams are like ready to be made real, right? Because Temperance is saying like we're gonna like make shit happen, Aries. We're gonna pull back where we need to. We're gonna push forward where we need to. And then we're going to get into this place by the time we're done. We're ready to take off. Right? Like, where this shit isn't about, like, isn't taking over, isn't about escapism, isn't about, like it's balance. And then the last card we have here is the Three of Pentacles reversed, okay? So, I feel like what this is actually saying right now is, like, a lot of the work you're doing right now, even though I'm talking about, like, material stuff and, like, focusing on that, like, right now, that's not going to show, right? We're talking about, like, slow and steady. The Three of Pentacles upright is a card about your work and your display and, like, what your work kind of shows about you to the world, right? Reverse now, like, especially with the Hierophant, we were just talking about, like, taking it slow. Like, you can't expect instant results, like, with anything in life, Aries. But we have Capricorn, like, Capricorn, with the Saturn and Capricorn, like I was talking about earlier, Capricorn is such a great sign of, like, sacrificing now for the payoff later. Right? And I feel like that's what oh, perfect. Like, we have Capricorn right here in this card. Right? So what I want to say to you guys is, like, over the next 2.5 years, you have to be okay with, like, progress being slow. Like, you cannot jump ship on something because you don't see immediate payoff. Because, like, what the Three of Pentacles is saying is, like, you might not see that immediate payoff. But it's about sticking with it. That's why it's so important to go within, to get in touch with yourself. Because, like, when you know what's right for you, when you know what you want, like, stick with it. Take your time. Right? Let it happen. Let it unfold. All right, Aries. I'm not going to hide anymore. Fuck that. Like, I'm just a little sick. Okay. Oh. My mom's in Aries, and I was just going to say, like, I want my mom to take care of me right now. Or, like, my ex was in Aries, and, like, he was very good at, like, taking care of you when you're sick. That's what I'm thinking about right now. That's what I'm feeling. I just want a big fat Aries hug right now. Sleeping man, unconscious, what we've been talking about going deep and getting in touch with, like, what it is that you really, really want. The Orca is sort of about, very similar to the Hierophant, right? It's sort of about legacies. It's sort of about, like, your impact on the people in your life, like your family, like what you leave behind, right? So it's time really to, like, think about your impact in a real way, right? Like, oh, excuse me. I was just thinking about this card too. The Phoenix. Rituals, traditions, right? So back to what I said about, like, if you have a spiritual tradition or anything like that, like, it's a good time to rely on it. But it's also about, like, rites of passage. Like, this is Aries kind of reinventing yourself, right? Like, getting rid of all the crap and, like, really getting in touch with, like, who you are. And, like, you know, the Phoenix, like, when it burns itself up, it starts off as a little baby again. And, like, Aries, I'm sorry, but you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with being a beginner in, like, this new phase of your life. I should, like, Deepak who? Stupid. Anyway. You feel me, Aries? Like, it's time to reinvent yourself. Like, the truest version of yourself. Right? Like, go through the painful bits. Like I said before about sitting with it. Like, sitting with the hard feelings. Like, sit in them. Let it, like, overwhelm you. Cry if you have to. Like, punch something if, like, don't hurt yourself or somebody. But, like, figuratively. I don't know, punch a punching bag. But, like, let it out and then you move on. Like, that's the theme of this reading. Like, move on. on, Aries. Time to move forward. Time to like stop. Like I feel like Aries has been like holding themselves back in so many ways. Like, and I don't get why. I mean, I do get why. There's a lot of emotional stuff here. There's a lot of like insecurity. There's a lot of like doubt. There's a lot of like uncertainty. Stop clinging to the idea of how things should be or how you want them to be or what you think should happen. And like, you just gotta like, some people associate the Fool card with Aries. And that's kind of the energy I want you guys to embody right now, is that just like free spirited, going with the wind, like not worrying too much, not being thoughtless about it, but not like dwelling on the consequences, right? Like not dwelling on like what could go wrong or like what's bad about, like think of some like real law of attraction shit, I would like that. Like focusing on like what you want or where you want to go. And like perfect that we're talking about a chariot, right? Like when you're driving or like riding a bike or anything, like wherever you look is kind of the direction where you start to kind of drift into, right? And talking about law of attraction stuff, like where you look, where you put your attention is with the direction you go in. So think about like where you're putting your attention, Aries. Like if you're drifting, if you're directionless, like where are you looking? Are you just like fixated on this shit? I think you might be, to be honest. I think you're still fixated on this shit. And that's why you're stuck here. And this like fulfilling like loop of just like doing the same shit over and over again. Because that's what happens with cheap thrills, right? That's what happens when you zone out. That's what happens when you like numb yourself out, right? You just like kind of stay in the same place. And we're all about movement. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Aries is fucking rolling in 2018. Right? Alright guys, let's take a look at the cards real quick here. So I'm really happy that I pulled these extra cards, right? I feel like this is probably like the bulk of the reading, right? Of what is important here to pay attention to. This stuff that's been keeping you stuck. This disappointment, this like insecurity that's like kept you from moving forward, right? And it's like, it feels very based in the past. It feels very like past disappointments or like, like maybe you made some wrong choices or like maybe not the best choices. And now you're like just kind of sitting in like that regret and wallowing. Right? Like, this is like potential though. This is like showing you getting out of that place. Still a little lost, but like what I was saying about maybe you don't know where you're going, but I feel like there's energy inside of you, right? Like I feel like there's this call inside of Aries that like is asking you how can I say this? It's almost as if like you do the reflection, like it's going to be apparent, right? Like where you should be going, what you should be doing. Like it's maybe one of those things that like you kind of knew you should be doing all along, but like this shit stood in your way, or like, you don't know if it's going to turn out well, so like you don't pursue it. But like this feels almost a little obvious, like what your dreams are. You just have to be okay with like expressing them and being okay with like just charging forward and pursuing it, right? Like finding the balance, finding the structure. Like that's what the Hierophant is right now to me, like structure. And like be okay with it taking a long time. Be okay with it being a little painful. You have to be. Like you don't have to do anything, Aries, that you don't want to. But if like your purpose here and watching these videos and like all this stuff is growth and forward movement and progress, like we have here, like you have to do the work. You have to like sit with yourself and get okay with being uncomfortable. Get okay with like not having this like as such a presence in your life. Okay? So Aries, I'm glad that like I pulled myself together to get this done for you. I hope it resonated with you. Please let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Also, in the description, you'll see my Instagram. Go ahead and follow me there. And personal readings. I have them on sale for the month of December. And there's links there in the description. But Aries, like, what I want to say is there's a way forward here, right? Like, I'm almost feeling this emotionally. Like, like when I said I want an Aries hug, like, I want to give Aries a hug and say, like, you got it, man. Like, you're like what I was saying before, but the Nine of Cups and how it's like almost obvious. Like, I feel like from the outside, it's like people see you like your potential, like your magic potential. Like Aries is really inspiring to a lot of people, to me, right? So like I want to see that spirit come back. That like great fire Aries energy. Take a break now if you have to, but like get serious. Like the Saturn in Capricorn is not something to mess around with. It's really not. Like that's a serious ass fucking sign for a serious ass planet going back into its home sign. So like get serious. All right, Aries? You can do it. I know you can. I know you can. I love you guys. Te amo mucho. I'm out.